Mine. Oh, you want to hear mine? Okay.
Yeah, what are your team names?
My team names are Suck Me.
Beer Me Blazer.
Okay.
Oh. You ready?
Are you ready?
Listen, dude, I'm fucking ready.
All right. Yo, welcome back to another episode. This is the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. Week 1, it's in the books. Hopefully you guys won. If not, don't overreact, because it's just fucking week 1. And you got a long way to go. And it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But like Ricky Bobby says, if you're not first, you're last. As always, your boy T here, joined with Mr. Miyagi.
I'm out here picking up the best defense. Well, not the best, but pretty close to the best defenses.
Hey, shout out to the Mr. Miyagi stream of the week, though, the Jets, because that pick 6 in the first quarter.
Yeah, not mad at it.
Not mad at it at all. So he knows what he's doing. He's over here hitting the knobs and the these things over here, but he's the the neutrons, the protons, the brain
they
blast.
all fucking spit firing, bro.
Yeah. He knows what.
That was a win. That
about.
saved me in a couple of leagues. Like just your defense. It's always nice if your defense can save you. Kickers, I guess, can save you. Saved you this week, but that's very lucky. It's not. It's very much how the game goes.
Yeah. Honestly, I hate kickers. I think it's so fucking unpredictable. Like, you can't, I don't know. Like, your team can go out there and score 35 points, but it's like your kicker only puts up 5. But then your team can go out there and score 12 points, and your kicker puts up, I don't know,
16.
4 fucking, 40-yard field goals. I've been saying the F word a lot on this one already. Jesus Christ. What the fuck is wrong with me?
Yeah, you're fucking out of control.
Dude, this is fucking ridiculous. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not a big guy on kickers, but hey, my kicker came through for me this week, so I guess I'll take it. But this is fantasy football, so just going to go over this week 1 recap, just kind of what's going around. Like, there's kind of like a handful of injuries, obviously that impacts, your fantasy team and, what's going on, especially with the waiver wire coming up, certain players get hurt, so certain players' value shoots up, and now you have to grab these players off the waiver wire. So I don't know. Is there anything you want to touch on before we kind of just go over it, or how'd you do in your leagues?
So I went 3 out of 6. I won 3 out of 6 leagues.
3-3.
So 3-3, yeah.
3-3.
You went 4-0, which is awesome.
I went 4-0 because the kicker, the Lutz, he got me the dub on one league.
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Will Lutz beat me.
Oh.
In a league too. That sucked.
Yeah. But all right, so it's a good start. But like I said, it's week 1. I mean, people are gonna overreact. It's always nice to get a win because you feel good. But I mean, you could go 0-1, and the next thing you know, you reel off 6 in a row, and you're 6-1, and you're in a good spot. So it's week 1. Don't overreact. This is what we're here for. To help you. So just some news. Like I said, the injuries went around. Probably, I guess, one of the bigger ones would probably be Tyreek Hill. So he got hurt like in the first quarter, I think it was. It's a shoulder injury. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks. So I kind of feel like this is kind of like karma. Like, I'm a big karma person. Like, no matter what happens, like, karma gets you eventually in the end. So Tyreek Hill, the whole suspension thing with his kid, did he hurt his kid? He's had a domestic, dispute with his girlfriend or whatever she is in the past. And he kind of got out of it, but I feel like this is kind of just karma's way of catching up with him. Of like,
I could see that. Yeah, no, I probably would agree. Sucks though. I mean, he's like if you have Tyreek Hill, he was probably either he'd be like an early 2nd round pick, so or even 1st round. I've seen him. So yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah. So yeah, he goes out. He's gonna be out a couple weeks. They're saying he's gonna avoid the IR, so it won't be more than 8 weeks. But yeah, that's kind of a bummer, like you said. This is a guy you spent high draft capital on. He's gonna be out for a while. With that being said, though, like Sammy Watkins came out and just had a monster game. I think he had like 9 catches, 148 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Which is like, I'm pretty sure that shit has to be like his career high.
Yeah, I think the 3 touchdowns and the yardage were his career high, or the 9 catches and
Right.
One of those 2, like 2 of those 3 were his.
2 of those 3 stats.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, look, nobody's expecting that. Even my dad. I think my dad has him on his team, and he was like excited about it. I'm like, well, I mean, there's Pat Mahomes throwing him the ball, but there's somebody. Bam, just like proves you wrong. 3 touchdowns
for sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess when Tyreek Hill's not there, then he's kind of the de facto number 1 wide receiver. Right. I mean, I still kind of in my mind, I think Kelsey's kind of the number 1 receiver, but he is the actual receiver, so he's like the number 1 receiver. So I mean, I guess when Tyreek Hill's out, he's got massive value. You're starting him every single week.
Yeah.
Just a kind of a question. I'm thinking do you try to trade him? Do you try to flip him? I mean, maybe say off the top of my head, like a Julio Jones had a bad game. So do you go out and you try to flip Sammy Watkins for a Julio Jones? Because when Tyreek Hill comes back, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you wait like after this week. I mean, no, yeah, I would probably try and trade him now, but I think you can still use him until Tyreek Hill comes back and trade him then.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you want to see – I mean, his value couldn't be higher than right now.
Yeah, his value is –
even if he has – yeah, I mean, he could still have another 20-point game next week. I could see it. But, it's possible, yes. You got Pat Mahomes throwing you the ball, so, yeah. But I think you're not going to get better than fucking 3 touchdowns in one game.
Yeah.
He looks like it's a complete stud.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah, if you have him, you're probably not trying to trade him anyways because you're so happy with what you got out of him.
Right.
You're excited for what he's going to do for the next week to come. So, just another injury here. You got Joe Mixon from the Cincinnati Bengals. He had an ankle sprain. He exited the game. I wasn't really big on Joe Mixon, in the whole draft process. I always felt like if he fell to the 3rd round, I'd be a little bit better. I think other people were different on him. They actually valued him as a 1st-round guy, 2nd-round guy. But I didn't think Gio Bernard was going anywhere, and that was kind of my thing. I read some reports saying they want to get him involved, and I know Mixon got hurt, so that's kind of why Gio got involved as well. But I didn't like it.
Right.
Did you get Mixon in any of your teams?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't draft Mixon on anything.
Yeah.
I think we kind of addressed that where it's there's other guys we would target. I would target Dalvin Cook there instead of Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
Had a way better game.
Yeah, so he had an MRI on his ankle, and it all came back negative. So he should be okay. So just keep an eye on it, monitor it. Gio Bernard, he's available in 68% of the leagues. We're going to touch on that in the next episode. We're going to go over all the waiver wire guys. So Gio Bernard is definitely going to be one of the main guys we talk about on there. It's another ankle injury for Tevin Coleman here from the San Francisco 49ers. He has a high ankle sprain. So this is actually really bad. When you get a high ankle sprain, those are the ones that are kind of they linger for weeks. Those are the ones that actually take some time to heal and get over. And even they're more susceptible to reoccur. He's actually already been ruled out for week 2. So I think Matt Breida stepped in. And then you even had Raheem Mostert come in and play a good amount too. So, Breida, I think he even got hurt at one point too. He gets hurt every game.
Yeah.
And then he just comes back in. He's like a bionic.
Maybe
man.
He's just kind of like a pussy. Nothing's really happening to him, but he's like, and then he comes out and they're like, no, dude, you're good. And then he's like, oh, okay. And then he goes back out. Maybe, I don't know maybe that's what it is, but.
I don't know. It just seems like every game he gets hurt, but then he comes back in and he plays good, and you're just like, dude, I thought he was hurt.
That's what I mean. You know what I mean? I think he's just a pussy.
I mean, could be it, but I mean, Breida, he had 15 carries when Tevin Coleman went down. No catches, actually. I'm kind of surprised to see he didn't have any catches because when I think of Breida, I think of a receiving kind of back right here. But 15 catches for him, and then Raheem Mostert came in. He had 9 carries. That's another guy we're going to touch on.
15 carries or catches?
15 carries, sorry. Did I say catches?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. 0 catches for Matt Breida.
Right. You're he doesn't have any catches, so, yeah, 15 catches.
That's a fuck ton of catches. So, yeah, Matt Breida, he's probably going to be like a high-end RB2 going forward with Coleman out of there. Just another injuries going on. Devin Funches, his fingers hurt.
He broke his finger?
No. Devin Funches, he's on the IR. He broke his collarbone, so he's going to be out for at least 8 weeks. This might actually open up some more targets for some of the other players around there, like Paris Campbell. This actually might help Eric Ebron because Funches is kind of like a red zone guy. Ebron only had 1 catch I saw. That's crazy.
Right.
I mean, I knew he was due for a massive regression, but
You didn't think it was going to be that?
yeah, 1 catch. That's pretty wild. So yeah, Funches on the IR. You actually have Nick Foles over here. He broke his collarbone too. He's gonna be. I think he might have gone to the IR. I'm not 100% sure on that level, but he's gonna be out for a while. They actually went out and traded for
Joshua Dobbs he's one of the backups for Pittsburgh. Yeah. Josh Dobbs has barely made the team the past like 2 years. So after they drafted Mason Rudolph, but it's cool that maybe he'll go somewhere and actually get used.
Yeah. Well, I think they're trading him for like a backup. It's funny because the backup guy, his name was Menshaw from the Jaguars. And my brother was like, this guy, he looks like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. And it was like spot on, dude. Like he's got like the mustache and everything. And he was making fun of him like, oh, I bet I throw this football over this mountains. And like 2 plays later, he threw a bomb to DJ Chark in the end zone for a touchdown. But, I mean, for a guy who is a rookie who didn't even plan to play, he went 22 for 25, the Minshew for the Jags.
He did really, like, what was his quarterback rating probably was his passer rating was probably pretty good. He didn't look bad. Like, when you see a guy like that come in and you don't know his name, like you said, rookie, you're expecting him to just fucking blow it.
Yeah. So this kind of worries me for Westbrook because, obviously we were talking about the whole D.D. Westbrook and Nick Foles. There was a connection there. And that's kind of why we were big on Westbrook. But now when you get this Menshaw guy in there, you don't know who he's going to favor. Is he going to lean towards one guy more than the other? Is he going to spread the ball around? He kind of spread the ball around pretty evenly in the target distribution. But it's like I was telling you before off air, like he's the backup. So he's obviously, like when he's in practice, he's getting more reps with the backups. So,
right.
Or like the second or third string receivers or whatever. So
sure.
Is there a guy like a DJ Chark who he's more comfortable with compared to D.D. Westbrook? I mean, Chris Conley, is he more comfortable with Chris Conley than he was with D.D. Westbrook?
I mean, Chris Conley looked pretty good.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see. I mean, actually, all 3 of those guys had good games. DJ Chark, 4 catches on 4 targets, 146 yards and a touchdown. Chris Conley, 6 receptions on 7 targets, 97 yards and a touchdown. And then D.D. Westbrook, 5 catches on 6 targets for 30 yards and a touchdown. So I'm kind of now it's like, you remember last year how we say like, oh, which Jag receiver are you gonna play? And you just like gun to my head, who are you taking? And I was like, pull the trigger.
Yeah, because there's nothing. Yeah, right.
This is how I feel now. I just don't know anymore, and it's kind of we're gonna have to kind of see how it pans out, going forward. Just a couple of the injuries. Sterling Shepard, he got a concussion, so just keep an eye on him. Make sure if you have him in your lineup that he's good to go for this week coming up. Evan Ingram had a monster game.
Yeah,
I mean
Evan Ingram had a game that I was hoping he would have had last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, he really showed up to yesterday, Sunday. What day is it? Yep.
I mean, Sterling Shepard wasn't having a bad game before he got hurt. He had 6 catches on 7 targets for 42 yards. Got the concussion, but Ingram. 14 targets. That's
ridiculous.
I mean, you're talking about who's the wide receiver 1 there. It could be Evan Ingram.
Right.
He could be the main guy in the passing attack there. 14 targets. He had 11 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown. And, yeah, he's going to be pretty good. He went in like the 7th or 8th round in one of my leagues.
Which is
and
crazy.
I was thinking, like, what is going on right now? And, I thought about trying to grab him, but I had drafted Kelsey in the first round. So I was like, I don't need him. And I was even thinking, like, okay, I could grab him.
Yeah, but dude, you could even flex him at this point.
And I'm thinking, like, man, I should have just took him because
even for
now
trade bait.
Now I could have traded him or something. So, yeah. Some more news going on. So we got Darius Juice. Everyone says Juice, but it's Darius Geis. So Darius Geis, a.k.a. Juice, he's got a knee injury. It's not the knee that he had the ACL tear in the reconstructed knee. It's the opposite knee, so that's kind of worrisome. Now when you're thinking like, okay, now the other knee is flaring up.
Right.
They were saying he's probably going to miss some time. AP, he was actually a healthy scratch. He wasn't even suited up for this game last week. But I mean, Geis didn't play very good. they were actually winning and they were within reach. So, it wasn't like a negative game
I
script.
think his yards per carry is like 1 yard per carry.
Yeah, 10 rushes for 18 yards, so 1.8.
Yeah.
And then he had 3 catches for 20 yards. But I think, AP, he's available in 72% of leagues. He's obviously going to be another guy we touch on when we do the waiver wire. He could be at the top of the list, honestly, because if Geis misses, I would think AP is going to step right in and be that what he was
before
last year.
When Darius Geis had that knee injury on the other knee last year.
Yeah. So just keep an eye on it because they were saying guys could miss a couple weeks, and I mean even then I was telling you about in preseason like I just didn't think Geis looked very good. He had like a crazy good run where he like stiff armed some guy and ran around the corner, but he didn't look fast. He didn't look elusive. He didn't look like agile. He didn't look like he did when all the hype was going on when he first came out. But then it's like I saw AP do a run and I'm like, bro, he still looked explosive. He still looked good, man. And I'm like, these guys.
A million years old.
Yeah. So just keep an eye on it. Like I said, AP, he'll probably be at the top of a lot of waiver wire priorities this week. So we were watching the game, the Steelers game, and I know it was a bad game. They're getting smacked, but we're there with our buddy Will. And I'm like, man, this game's just out of line. Like, why is Juju in the game? Like, why do they have the starters in the game? Like, these, whatever. Run the clock out and get out of here. You lost. It is what it is.
Right. Take the
on
loss.
to the next week. Yeah. And literally.
It's a 30-point different game. It was 33-3. It's like, dude.
Yeah. And literally, the very next play, Juju got hurt, and he's like limping off the field. And I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. Why? Yeah, why?
Yeah. So that's always shitty. It makes your boy James Washington look good. He went to the he got a what's it called?
X-ray.
X-rays, but it was nothing, right?
Yeah, it was nothing. So he's okay, but it just shows you, like, what are these coaches doing?
What if it wasn't?
Yeah, what are you doing that you're losing by 30? And I mean, I don't know. You trying to pad the stats, or I don't even understand. Like,
right.
All it takes is one hit, your knee gets tweaked one way. Like, I don't know. If there's no real like you're not gonna win, why are you risking your players out there?
And it could be a thing where like Juju doesn't care. I could see it. You know what I mean? He wants to be out there. No, I'm good. Let me play. Whatever. Yeah. It could be something like that, but you never know.
Okay, yeah. So another wide receiver kind of escaped injury. He's got Mike Williams from the Chargers. He's one of my man crushes this year. I know he didn't have a good game, but it was kind of a bad matchup for him. I didn't really expect him to have that good of a game, minus the touchdown upside that he carries week to week. But yeah, he had a weird play where I don't know what happened, but I just remember seeing him on the ground. He was holding his knee, and I was like, oh man, he tore his ACL. I was pretty bummed. I thought it was pretty serious. So I was just looking at some stuff today, and they're saying that like he just kind of tweaked it, and he should be okay. So I'm kind of like sigh of relief.
Right. I'm right there with you. I have Mike Williams in a couple different leagues.
That he's okay. Yeah. So I mean, better things are going to happen for that guy going forward. It's just like I said, it was a bad matchup, and he's still a monster, and I'm still expecting a big year from him going forward. So yeah, it's kind of just like some of the injuries and stuff like that. You got anything you want to touch on, or?
Nothing too much.
Nothing. All right, so let's go over these like running backfields, I guess, because like a lot of these different backfields. Yeah, you get some of these teams like obviously you got Barkley, McCaffrey,
where it's just a running back.
Yeah, those guys are there. But then you got a lot of these other teams that have like 2, some even have 3 running backs, and it was nice to see how it's only 1 week, so things could change week to week, and just because of how it happened in the first week doesn't mean this is how it's going to be for the rest of the year. But it's just good to see some of these
snap count percentage.
These snap counts, and kind of to see like how they got distributed, and what players got what. I think one of the biggest one was the Buffalo Bills. They got rid of LaShawn McCoy, and everyone was kind of like on the Singletary hype, and I was kind of like against it. I was like, yeah, like I think he's good, but Frank Gore's still there, T.J. Yeldon's still there. The guy's only 5'7". He's not that biggest guy. I wanted to see it play out
right
before I made anything. So just some stats and kind of like how that planned out. So the running back snap count went Devin Singletary got 70% of the snaps. Frank Gore got 28%, and T.J. Yeldon only got 2%. So Yeldon only played 2 snaps, so he was kind of non-existent. So Yeldon's pretty much a backup, but Singletary, he got 70% of the snaps, and he only had 4 rushes. He had 70 yards.
Right.
That's wild.
Right. 70 rushing yards?
Yeah.
That's wild.
On 4 carries. Frank Gore, he had 11 rushes. He led the team in rush attempts, but he only had 20 yards. So it just shows you I guess the elusiveness and the way Singletary was, it's just way better than Frank Gore. And he even added on 5 catches on 6 targets for 28 yards. Singletary did right there. So those are good signs right there. If you have Singletary, you probably got him in the later rounds, and you probably got a steal now, because here's a guy who's probably going to be like a week in, week out flex guy.
Right.
Like low-end RB2, week to week. So that was kind of just nice to get some clarity, I guess, on it. Because that was a good game. Like, they were back and forth. Like, it wasn't like a blowout. I think the Jets were up at the most at like two touchdowns, maybe.
Right.
Maybe 17-0. But even then, it's like the game is still kind of...
It was back and forth. It was very much a defensive game.
Yeah.
A lot of defense happened.
So it's kind of just interesting to see how that played out. You have any of those guys or no?
I don't have Devin Singletary in anything. No.
Makes me interested in if you can try to trade for him somehow and get him, depending on what you have to give up. But he would definitely be a guy who I'd want to have on my team.
Who would you trade for him?
That one's tough. I can't even think of anything off the top of my head. I mean, if I can get him for the right price, I would probably try to trade for him. It might be hard because he had a decent game. I mean, he had 98 total yards. Only on 9 touches, but 5 catches. That's pretty good. So yeah, I don't know. He might be a guy I'd be trying to. If I could finagle something and get him,
right,
I would definitely try to work something out for that. There's another backfield. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs. You have Damian Williams, LaShawn McCoy,
Darwin Thompson,
and then even Darwin Thompson. McCoy looked good in this game.
Yeah,
I thought I would. People were kind of writing him off, saying he's old and.
He looked. Who said that? He looked even thinner than, or he looked bigger. He looked fatter.
Yeah, might have been Anthony.
Yeah.
But so for them, there was Damian Williams. He played 45 of the snaps. LaShawn McCoy played 20 of the snaps, and then Darwin Thompson only played 2 of the snaps. So Darwin Thompson was kind of like the bench guy.
Backup.
Yeah, the backup guy. So it's kind of like a 60. 65-35 split, I guess, or 65-35 split between Williams and McCoy in the snap percentage wise. And then touches wise, I think they were pretty similar. I'm trying to pull something up real quick.
Yeah, it's just a complicated backfield, so it's nice if you could maybe snag one of those guys this past week for nothing, like McCoy.
Yeah.
But then now it's kind of nice to having an idea of who's got what.
I mean, like I said, I know I've said it on a couple episodes before. Like, as a Dolphins fan, Damian Williams used to be a Dolphin. He's a good running back, but he's not like an elite running back, and I don't think he's a guy who he's better than LaShawn McCoy.
Right.
I mean, right here. So McCoy, 10 rushes for 81 yards. Damian Williams, 13 rushes, only 26 yards.
Right.
So it's like that's not literally night and day of the 8.1 yard per carry for McCoy, 2 yards for Damian Williams. And I get it, it's the Jags defense, but I mean, if McCoy's out here, the 80 yards
running again,
10 carries.
And when he hasn't even been working in the system for that long.
Yeah.
He just, he knows Andy Reid, but it's like, dude, he just got there like not even a week ago.
Yeah. The only thing I can say about Damian Williams, he had 6 catches for 39 yards. So, I mean, I guess the touches distribution, 19 for Damian Williams, 11 for LaShawn McCoy, because McCoy had 10 rushes and 1 catch. So I guess Damian Williams would be maybe the pass-catching guy. But, I mean, it's not like McCoy's not a pass catcher.
Right.
So I think better things are ahead for McCoy, and if I had Damian Williams, I'm probably a little bit nervous, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm definitely nervous if I have Damian Williams. I don't in any league,
Yeah.
and I played it that way. These are kind of like these backfields that I think me and you, and probably Anthony too, were avoiding just for that reason.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, I was avoiding Damian Williams in pretty much every draft because I just didn't know how I felt about him, and you get all this Darwin Thompson hype in the air. Once McCoy went there, I had two more drafts left, and I snagged him in one of my leagues, and in the other league, he actually went in the third round. So like people are like buying into it like crazy high.
Right.
You know, Darwin Thompson went in like the sixth round in that draft. So it just shows you how like Darwin Thompson going in the second round before the drafts, McCoy goes there, and then all of a sudden McCoy goes in the third round. Damian Williams, Darwin Thompson. Damian Williams went in the sixth round after that.
Right.
But it's just crazy. I don't know. I like I said, I think McCoy still got it, and it's like the
I'm trying to trade for McCoy.
dream scenario.
I'm trying to trade for McCoy because I tried to do that AB and Latavius Murray for McCoy and Mike Evans because Mike Evans kind of had a shitty game. It's kind of a package trade, but yeah, I'm definitely targeting McCoy.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think if you could do something like that and grab him, I think it'd be worth it. I can definitely see him taking that role. Maybe his floor isn't as safe just because there is Damian Williams there, and Damian Williams seems to be getting more touches and whatnot. But I think he has a higher chance of taking that role and becoming the McCoy we saw in Buffalo like 2 years ago, but in Kansas City.
Yeah.
With a high-powered offense, it's going to just the spread-out offense. Imagine Tyreek Hill comes back. And you know what I mean?
No, for sure, yeah. I mean, McCoy's done it. He's been like the lead back before. Damian Williams has never had, I think it was like, he's never had more than, I don't even know. I think 160 sounds like a lot of touches for him in 1 year.
Right.
That's probably wrong. I don't think that number's right. But he's never been like a guy to have over a 250 touches in a single season.
Yeah, he's always been split carries, it seems like.
Yeah.
How about those Rams? They really rammed the ball in the end zone, huh? Malcolm Brown, am I right?
So how mad are you if you're a Gurley owner and it's like the Rams, like you're watching the game and like you see them running it in and you're just like, yes, and it's like Malcolm Brown, and you're like, fuck, and then like all of a sudden like 10 minutes later it's like Ram rushing touchdown, you're like, yes, Malcolm Brown again, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, I mean that's just like kind of why we stayed away from Todd Gurley too, and I hate for us to be the guys that are like, we told you to stay away from him, but there's reasons why we kind of before the drafts started we had some episodes talking about Todd Gurley, and you know why we don't want to be around him or have him on our teams.
Yeah,
he's just he has the arthritic component. I mean, you know what I mean? So what?
I mean, yeah, the knee, I think
the only reason he's still playing with them is because they paid him so much fucking money.
Yeah, I mean,
he's still good, and I think I don't know, an injury like that or an injury component.
Yeah, I mean, he's still good. I mean, the thing that kind of caught me off guard was they were saying like, you know, McVay was like, oh, it's all systems go, like we're not gonna like hold him back. You know, he's going to get as many touches as he can handle. And he did play 70% of the snaps compared to Malcolm Brown, who played only 27% of the snaps. You know, Gurley got 14 rushes for 97 yards, so he looked good. I mean, he was breaking. We were watching the game, and like he broke off a couple good runs. And we're like, oh, he looks good. Like I don't understand why they're not just giving him the ball. Maybe they are just kind of being like sensitive. They're like they want to see how the knee goes. They were pretty much in control of the game the whole game. There's no real reason to, you know, give him, I guess, 25 to 30 carries.
Right.
But yeah, 14 rushes, 97 yards, and he had one catch for 4 yards. I think he was the only running back to even receive a target, which is weird because everyone was drafting Darrell Henderson to be like this guy, you know, because McVay was like, oh, we want to get him 10 to 12 touches a game, and he didn't even have a touch.
Right.
I mean, or maybe he had one rush, 0 yards.
Right.
Because I know someone started him against me in one of my leagues, and he got a goose egg for them.
Which is always nice to see when you're playing against somebody.
I was like, yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Get them double zeros. Hello.
But yeah, the number here that is surprising, Malcolm Brown, even though he only saw 27% of the snaps compared to 70% from Gurley, when Malcolm Brown was in the game, he pretty much got the ball. So 11 carries, 53 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I like that. And he's Malcolm Brown's pretty available too.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like everyone's on the Darrell Henderson type, like I said, but Malcolm Brown, I think he was available in he's a 93% available. Like I said, we're gonna do this waiver wire episode next, but yeah, it's just crazy. We tried telling people, and I know like all these other places too, like ESPN, Matthew Berry, and all these other places. They always try to tell you too, like Malcolm Brown was the handcuff you wanted, not Darrell Henderson.
Right.
And it's just crazy to see that he's 93% available in leagues.
Yeah, just because a lot of people went into the Darrell Henderson hype train. Everybody, I've seen it in a lot of drafts. Them drafting Darrell Henderson.
Yeah, he was going in like the 6th, 7th round in some of the leagues I was in. It just makes you think, like, is Malcolm Brown going to be the guy who sees 10 to 12 touches from week to week now? Because if that's what it is, then he's obviously got some flex appeal.
Right,
and if he's going to get some goal line carries here and there too, I mean,
he's not a bad running back to have on a good, just same as McCoy on the Chiefs offense. It's nice on the Rams offense.
Yeah,
having a guy like that.
Like I have Malcolm Brown in 2 of my leagues. I don't have Gurley in those leagues. I just grabbed them because I'm like, okay, if something happens to Gurley, then I have Malcolm Brown, and he's pretty much the starter in one of the best offenses in the league. And I got this guy in, I don't know, the 12th round.
Right.
But I think if you have Gurley, you need to have Malcolm Brown on your team. I think you need to hedge your bet, like we say. You need to cover your ass, because if something does happen to Gurley, here's a guy who's they're giving him the ball, and if Gurley goes down, here's a guy who probably sees like 20 touches a game.
Yeah.
So I would just cover your ass.
Grab him for sure.
If I had Gurley, Malcolm Brown would probably be like the top of my waiver priority list this week.
So another crazy backfield, the Patriots backfield, always one that we talk about. You never know what the fuck's gonna happen, and just like that, Sony Michel was not involved. You probably have the snap count and percentages.
Yeah, so 70 total snaps for the Patriot running back trio. You had James White had 33. Rex Burkhead, out of nowhere, 32. And Sony Michel with 23. So Sony Michel, who was being drafted, probably the highest out of all those guys.
Right.
I don't even think Rex Burkhead was being drafted at all.
No.
He had the least amount of snaps, which is weird because when you think of like a Sony Michel game script, you think of like, okay, like the Patriots, they're at home, they're ahead and they're in control, they're running the clock out.
Right.
This literally was all 3 of those. Yet you saw a heavy dose of Rex Burkhead.
Yeah. You just this is, again, another reason why I stay away from this fucking backfield. It's because, I don't know. It's like one day Bill Belichick likes Sony Michel. The next week he's trying to throw you off and he starts playing all of his white players. You know what I mean?
I mean, to me, like I didn't like I had Sony Michel in a couple leagues last year, and I liked it because
towards the end of the year.
Towards the end of the year, yeah. But Burkhead was hurt for a majority of that year. You know what I'm saying? But now that he's back in the mix, I just didn't want anything to do with this backfield because it's like I feel like I'm playing Russian roulette. It's like spin the wheel. Who's it going to be this week? One of those guys. I mean, just here's the stats for these guys here. So you had Rex Burkhead. He had 8 rushes for 44 yards, but he also added on 5 receptions on 8 targets for 41 yards. Then you had James White, who had 4 rushes for 26 yards. He also had 5 catches, 7 targets, 56 yards. And then you have Sony Michel here, 15 rushes for 14 yards. He averaged 0.9 yards per carry, 0 catches.
Right.
So it's just like there's no receiving upside for Michel. It's like if he doesn't
and he just did
fall in the end zone.
And that's not a bad amount of rushes, to be honest.
No, not at all. But let's just say hypothetically here, 15 rushes at 5 yards per carry. I mean, if you get 5 yards per carry, that's pretty good, right?
Right.
So 15 times 5, 75. But he doesn't fall in the end zone, and he's not getting in receiving upside.
Right.
He just got you 7.5 points because he didn't get a touchdown.
Right. That's low. Yeah, because there's no PVR upside. Even if you say he did get a couple targets, maybe he gets 2 catches, it's still only like 10 points.
It's just alarming to see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just alarming to see, like, and now that they have AB in town, I mean, I
That's
highly
more-
doubt that Michelle gets any type of receiving upside. Maybe he gets like a catch or two here and there, but like he's definitely not going to be the receiving guy. Like I said, you got James White and you got Burkhead. Each got 5 receptions. Those obviously are the receiving guys. Edelman's a short, quick guy. AB's obviously going to take a ton of targets. Josh Gordon. I'm not sure. I'm hitting the panic button on Sonny Michel, if you know what I mean.
For sure.
As far as like for those guys right there, like Burkhead, he's available in a ton of leagues. Like I said, we're gonna touch on all those things in the other episode. So another backfield kind of had like a trio or a duo was the Eagles. You had Miles Sanders, the rookie, and then you have Jordan Howard, who the Messiah, aka Andre Navarro. He just calls him a ball carrier. So this one even was kind of surprising too. So 75 total snaps for the Eagles. Miles Sanders had 36. Darren Sproles, the ageless wonder, Darren Sproles, 23, and then Jordan Howard had 17 snaps. So Howard had the least amount of snaps.
Miles Sanders was like what, 70%?
Available?
No, 70% snaps.
Oh yeah, it's up there. Let me double check real quick.
No, I mean you don't need to know the percentage right off the bat, but I mean he was the leading.
He was the leading guy. Yeah.
It is pretty crazy. I mean, it's just nuts when you hear all those names. Like nobody's really bad. Like obviously Miles Sanders is a rookie, but it's like Jordan Howard's not a bad running back, and Darren Sproles he's just really small. I'm surprised Darren Sproles is still playing. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. Remember he broke like 3 bones in one play.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, it's most likely he's gonna be done." Dude, it's like 2 years later, this little fucker is still going.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. But yeah, I was scared of the Miles Sanders risk. What do you think? Do you think it's the real deal? Do you think he's gonna have that snap count in the future?
So yeah, so snap count, he was 48%.
Okay.
He did lead all the running backs with 48%. But here's the thing with this backfield is, what's his name? Turbo McVisor, Doug Peterson.
Oh, Doug Peterson, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, with him, he's always been like a running back by committee guy. He's never really leaned on one guy
Right.
more than the other, and it's kind of like sometimes I feel like he takes the hot hand approach, like who's doing better.
Yeah, well, he did. Yeah. I mean, he was Andy Reid's. I think was he Andy Reid's prodigy?
Yeah,
I think he came from.
yeah, I think he came from one of those.
Either that or Bill Belichick.
But yeah, so these rushes got split up pretty evenly. I mean, Sproles had 9 rushes for 47. Jordan Howard 6 rushes for 44. Pretty good rushing wise. 7.3 yards per carry for him. Miles Sanders led the running backs with 11 rushes, but only 25 yards. So that's not good. And then running back like receiving wise, Sproles had 3, Jordan Howard had 2, and Miles Sanders had 1. The yardage wasn't very good for any of those guys. It just makes me feel like even if it is Jordan Howard or Miles Sanders, Sproles isn't going away because he's the one who's like, the scat back,
Right?
The main receiving back. I feel like, and then it's like, okay, Jordan Howard obviously he could be a goal line guy. Miles Sanders he could be a goal line guy. I don't know. This is just a mess, and this is why we're in the draft season. I was saying like I was just avoiding this backfield altogether.
Definitely.
And it just kind of just shows, I mean, like I said, if you went out and drafted Miles Sanders, you went out and drafted Jordan Howard. You probably started those guys, and you're probably pretty pissed off with what you got in return.
Yeah, that's the thing is like every week I wouldn't feel confident. Like, okay, I got Miles Sanders in my flex spot. I would never feel confident about it. Every week I would feel a little weird about it.
Yeah. All right, so we got the next one right here. We got the Los Angeles Chargers. All I got to say is that, we were telling you about the whole Melvin Gordon situation. He's still holding out on the contract dispute. But we just kept telling people, like, go get Austin Eckler. Like, if he's there, if you draft Gordon, you have to draft him. Draft him. And this guy was a fucking savage.
Yeah.
This week. I think he finished as, like, I think he was, like, a top 5 running back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I think he was freaking, if he wasn't the number 1. To be honest, I know he did better than Saquon. He did better than Zeke. Did better than a lot of guys.
Yeah.
A lot of those top guys. Did better than James Conner. Did better than all these guys. Nick Chubb, probably.
Yeah. So I know one thing, me, you, and Anthony, we kind of had our who we thought would be better, and I was kind of more on the Eckler side. You guys were more on the
Well,
Justin.
I mean, I
Jacksons.
didn't ever say that Justin Jackson's going to get played more. Like, I just was saying that I think he's a better running back. That's all.
Yeah. So the snap distribution was Eckler had 48 and Justin Jackson only had 16. Some of the stats though, Eckler 12 rushes for 58 yards and a touchdown, 6 receptions for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had the monster game, 3 touchdowns, so monster game.
Right.
One thing I could say about Jackson is he only had 6 rushes, but he had 57 yards, so that's 9.5 yards per carry, so that's pretty good. And then also I think he still will be the goal line back going forward, even though the Eckler got that goal line carry to kind of end the game. I think maybe they're just riding the hot hand approach.
Sure.
At that moment, but yeah, hopefully you drafted Eckler. If you drafted Melvin Gordon, if you didn't, and you just drafted Eckler, good for you. I mean, you probably have he low key is. I was reading some stats. There's it's Pro Football Focus. They were just saying how like Eckler's grades on everything, like his elusive rating, like his missed tackles rating, like his catch rating, like everything. His yards per carry, yards after contact, like all these things, they were all better than Melvin Gordon. And it's weird to think how, why would I go out and pay this guy $10 million when I have a guy over here who I'm paying pennies on the dollar and he's
producing.
He's producing. He's doing just as much, if not better, than what Melvin Gordon was doing. So I think you kind of have a poor man's version of Melvin Gordon with Austin Eckler here while he's gone. I mean, you have like a low-end RB1, at least a top 15 running back.
It's just funny. It is true though. Like some of these systems, they're just a better system for like one running back to do well in. There's systems like the Eagles offense or backfield where it's kind of a committee, and then there's offenses like this and like the Steelers offense that are just they kind of fucking one guy gets it going and that's it. So yeah, Austin Eckler. That's if you got him, you're in a good spot.
I mean, even just to cut you off, my bad. But
no, you
like,
good.
Just even if Melvin Gordon or if and when Melvin Gordon comes back, because like I said, they're saying he has to come back at some point if he wants his contract to play out and not toll over into the next year. So he has to come back by I think it's by like week 10 or week 11. Even if you have Austin Eckler, I think even if Melvin Gordon comes back, or like I said, when he comes back, I think he'll still have some good fantasy value to where you can play him as a flex guy.
Right.
So just touch on a couple more teams real quick. Just like I said, it's this running back share. Like what are the snap percentages? What did we learn from this week 1? I mean, we kind of touched on this one a little bit from the Thursday night game with these two teams, with the Bears and the Packers. But so you have the Bears here. I know we're all big David Montgomery guys. I mean, I think he played pretty decent for what he was given for his little bit of touches, but just a snap share. I just wanted to throw that out there. Cohen played like 71% of the snaps, but he was mainly lined up in like the slot.
Yeah.
He wasn't really lined up.
I don't think he rushed at all.
And he didn't rush at all.
So yeah, he literally he went into Taylor Gabriel's spot, and then Taylor Gabriel kind of lined up outside.
Yeah. And then Mike Davis had 58%, and then David Montgomery only 35%. So, one thing I can say about this backfield is there's a couple plays where like they were both out there. It'd be like Mike Davis and Montgomery, or Montgomery and Cohen, and vice versa. I'm just kind of curious to see what happens. I know we kind of had a conversation off air. And we were talking about, at the end of the day, like, all right, we just went out there. We only scored 3 points. I'm watching the film, and, at the end of the day, you got to sort of think about, like, well, who are my playmakers on this team? Like, okay, Cohen's a playmaker, so obviously they're lining him up in the slot. They're trying to get him more involved in the passing game. Allen Robinson had a big game. He's a playmaker. But it's like after that, you don't really have a tight end. Taylor Gabriel, a couple of these other receivers, they're just kind of like whatever,
Right.
Nothing special. Mike Davis, he's a decent guy too. But, at the end of the day, it's like I need to get my playmakers the ball. And David Montgomery is a playmaker. So hopefully Matt Nagy just pulls his head out of his ass and he gets this guy the ball more.
I mean, they're going to change things up when you lose a game, especially a division game like that.
Yeah.
That's important. And they lost it at home too. So I think they're gonna change up the way they play this year or this week. So I could see David Montgomery still, like, I wouldn't panic if you have him. Don't drop him for sure. I mean, shit, they are playing Denver this week, so that's kind of like a hard matchup against Bradley Chubb and like Von Miller.
Yeah.
But so who knows how much they're going to be rushing the ball. But I would just wait it out. Maybe not play David Montgomery next week. But
yeah, I'm kind of torn. I don't know if I should sit him and just see how it plays out, or
I mean, I just don't think it's the right week to have him in, to be honest.
for sure.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I don't overreact. That's David Montgomery doing that bad would be why I'm going to try and trade for him in a lot of leagues. Package trade him, just throw him in there. They might be upset about the whole David Montgomery thing. They'll take someone with higher upside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you just need to be patient with it. I was telling you too, like that year Kamara broke out. I mean, it took him a couple weeks, his rookie year until he really came out. Even Kerryon Johnson last year kind of took him a couple weeks until he kind of like, burst out onto the scene.
Yeah.
And so I'm standing pat and holding tight on David Montgomery. I think there's better days,
For
and
sure.
better games ahead for sure.
Green Bay.
The Green Bay Packers here. So here's a guy who I'm trying to buy low on, and I'm not really big on Aaron Jones, but I just think his game, he just had a really bad game. Snap percentage here was pretty much a 60-40 split. Aaron Jones and then 40% Jamal Williams. But like I said, here's a guy I'm going to be trying to buy low on him this week if I can. We'll see if I can maybe. I don't know. I can't even think of anything off the top of my head. But if I could try to get Aaron Jones, because I think there's better days ahead for him here. It was a tough matchup. In Chicago against the Bears, tough defense, division game on the road. But there's going to be games where they're in Lambeau and they're just probably crushing the team, and he probably gets more involved. It is a little alarming though to see Jamal Williams get 40% of the snaps.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was expecting that. I mean, I'm sure his yards per carry wasn't very good. I don't know the stat offhand, but I still think Aaron Jones is a better back.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. That's also another thing is that they're changing. They have a new coach there. The offense is gonna be run different. You see how much offseason effort they put into their defense. Green Bay.
Yeah.
So their offense. I mean, you watched a Bears-Packers game. You would think with the Packers being there, it's gonna be a high-scoring game. They won by fucking 7 points, 10-3. Yeah. So. I mean, yeah, I'm still going to buy in on Aaron Jones too. Low. Because he's still going to be that number one.
He's going to be the number one guy, yeah. In a good offense.
Yeah. Their offense is still good, but they've just been focusing a lot more on defense.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you seen Aaron Rodgers on the sideline when his defense is just blowing every type of lead he put out there?
For sure.
You're just sitting there like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he was hyped that the defense played good.
I'm sure, dude. How many games where he's just in like the fourth quarter has to like win the game because his defense goes out there and just blows it. Like they have a lead and they just blow it every time.
Yeah.
It's like you think that Aaron Rodgers is clutch in the fourth quarter, but it's like no, dude, he has to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like that's all they got is him and just offensive weapons.
Yeah. All right, so sticking in that division, jump to the Detroit Lions here because, Kerryon Johnson, I know everyone's kind of hyped for him to have a second-year breakout season. So he had a 50% snap percentage. But then, I was telling a couple people, like, I don't think C.J. Anderson's going anywhere, and he had a 30% snap percentage. Just kind of the touches for them. You had Kerryon Johnson, 16 rushes for 49 yards. But C.J. Anderson, 11 rushes for 35 yards. Neither of them had a good yards per carry average, 3.1 and 3.2. The only thing I can say is, Kerryon had a couple catches to kind of help him a little bit more. But, I was kind of worried about Kerryon Johnson. We liked him. We were drafting him. But then I was watching some of the preseason games, and it did seem like they were getting C.J. Anderson a little bit more involved than I would like.
Right.
Kind of maybe that LeGarrette Blount role. I mean, I know LeGarrette Blount's not there anymore, but, like, that's kind of the role I feel like he took over.
Right.
In a team that wants to be a run-heavy team. I know Stafford came out and threw 45 times, for 385 yards, 3 touchdowns. But the matchup was good.
Yeah, they played the Cardinals. Their entire secondary is like gone. Patrick Peterson is out, suspension, and a bunch of stuff.
But in games where like I said, there's supposed to be a more of a run-heavy team this year. I think C.J. Anderson's going to see around 10 carries a game, and maybe he vultures some of these goal line carries from Kerryon Johnson, and I'm kind of worried about it. One thing I'm worried about too is that Kerryon Johnson hasn't been the model of like health either. He's been banged up in college. He's been banged up, last year.
Right.
So I'm thinking like if he gets hurt, and CJ Anderson is the guy there. I mean, CJ Anderson can then be seeing 20 carries a game, all the goal line work and stuff like that. So it could be a sneaky stash, CJ Anderson, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind it. I just think that there's like other stuff out there. If you have a deeper bench, maybe. I just think like, there's guys like Malcolm Brown, stuff like that. I'm looking at faster.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything else you want to touch on?
No, I just wanted to go over those running back, percentages and touches and stuff like that. Because like I said, it's only the week one, but it's good to see kind of how these teams are using the team. I mean, I know another one off the top of my head. I didn't even write it, but it was the Dolphins. Kenyon Drake and Balaj, but they're just trash. So.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're not going to be run. I feel like they're going to be behind in most games.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much running they're going to do. But it was Kalen Balaj was their guy, right?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull up that real quick. That was just another interesting. Like, I don't know. We're going to be so bad. The offensive line is going to be terrible. But you had Drake had 54%, Kalen Balaj at 40%. So it's a split back. It's a split time.
But what's funny is like you say, so that before the game they announced Kalen Balaj as the starter, and then before that it was on the depth chart Kenyon Drake was number one. So then he come out of the game and then Kenyon Drake has more snap percentage. So it's like you said, it's split carries.
I mean, Drake had 4 rushes, Balaj had 5. I mean, they were down 21-0 in the blink of an eye. So I guess the whole game strips goes out the window and you're just throwing the ball every play. But this is just going to be a bad offense. And honestly,
you guys are tanking this year.
I don't want anything to do with these running backs. Are they going to have some good games here and there? For sure. I mean, it's inevitable. But is it going to be a consistent basis, or am I going to feel confident throwing these guys out here? Definitely not.
No.
So
only if the matchup says so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all. I think that's all we got, right? We just want to go over a little bit of everything that happened in week one. Crazy to seeing some guys just blow up. Sammy Watkins, Deshaun Jackson looked really good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of random receivers that just did really good. What Josh? Do you want to touch on the Raiders? Josh Jacobs. Do you have any info on that real quick?
Not yet.
I know the game just ended.
Yeah, it usually takes about a day for the snap percentage to come out. But he was pretty much the main guy. I know Jalen Richard got a couple carries here and there. And on third downs, like Jalen Richard would come in some of the times. Mainly, most of the time, he would come in on third down. But Josh Jacobs would be on third downs at times as well. And then another running back, Washington, I forget his first name, but he was in a couple times. He had a handful of carries. But it seemed like Jacobs was the main guy. And one thing I liked about Jacobs is when they got close, they didn't, like, fuck around. They, like, handed him the ball.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so, like,
did you see his touchdown?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so when they get close, it looks like, Gruden's not fucking around. He's like, hey, we're inside the 5. Hand him the ball.
Gruden's old school, too. You know what I mean? He'll run the ball. He doesn't care.
And it's like we touched on it before. Like, there's always a rookie who ends up being like a top 10 running back. And I think if you're gonna pick one, it's probably David Montgomery or Josh Jacobs. And after week one, it's probably looking like Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, which is crazy because David Montgomery got so much hype, but we'll see. We'll see.
He just needs to get
Montgomery
just needs to get the touches. If he gets 15 touches a week, 15 to 20 touches a week, he's gonna put it up. He's too talented to not. Like some of these running backs, you can give them 15 touches, and they're not going to do anything with it because they're just not good. But, I mean, if you give a guy like that who's a playmaker, who can break tackles, 15-plus touches, he's going to make something happen. So.
Alvin Kamara looked so good in the Saints game.
Oh, yeah, he looked
good. I mean,
it's
just like, I'm just calling water wet at this point. But, dude, there was one play where he just, like, broke, like, 3 tackles in a row. Just, like, spin move. Yeah. Fucking... I mean, fuck. I don't have him in any leagues, but I wouldn't be mad at it. I think you took him first overall in one league.
Yeah, but this is why. This is literally exact why. Remember I told you? I was like, I like Zeke, but the whole contract dispute, I was like kind of unsure. And I was like, you know what? And I just like Kamara because I feel
He's
like
fun to watch, man.
Dude, whenever you watch the Saints game, you know he's going to be involved. And he's like a human highlight reel.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, like live highlight reel. So awesome, blossom, possum, broski. Yeah, I think that's all we got. We just want to go over some of those. I think we could go over, sit here and be like, this guy had a good game, this guy had a good game, this guy had a good game. We're doing a waiver wire episode. We'll talk about more with that in the next one. But we just wanted to kind of go over these snap count percentages. It's pretty interesting to see. Like you said, we're trying to really figure out who's going to be the guys, you know. But thank you for listening. This has been the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. We appreciate you for listening, little boys and girls. Check us out on Instagram, AverageBros_Fantasy Football. Check us out on Twitter, AverageBrosFFP. Look at our YouTube page, would ya? Don't forget to subscribe. And then I don't have anything else. Yeah. Ask us questions on there. We honestly, people are actually starting to ask us more and more every day on our Instagram, just sending us their team, who they should play, who they shouldn't. Listen, and also when we give you this advice, this is what we would do. It's not a guarantee it's gonna fucking win. Okay, Rainer. No, but for real. We appreciate you guys, so thank you. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you can. Just scroll down if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. Hit that 5-star. Even you could write us a review, but if you just hit that 5-star, that even helps us. So we appreciate you. So thank you and goodbye.
Deuces.